But what happens is don't give up on your feminine characteristics that actually know that when you get home, I mean, sincerely, your husband doesn't want competition. He doesn't want
Exactly.
aggressiveness. He wants a feminine characteristic, estrogen-based woman who actually can bring him peace that men are not meant to bring peace. You understand?
Yeah.
It's like, because that's what makes us great. If and see, the only place this is acceptable in today's society is sports. Is sports. You saying? Here, watch this. I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin. If I were to say to both men and women today, just let all of the Packer players play. Don't put the best on the field. They have
Oh,
a
yeah.
right to play. You'd be like, you're freaking nuts. We want to whoop our team. You see, but that's the only place. Now, if I come and say, now watch this, Doc, I mean this sincerely, and this is not one thing whatsoever. But let's say you and I are competition. I don't care if you're a woman. I want to beat you. That's just my nature thing. Now, if I say that to the public, oh, you hate women. No, I don't. I want to dominate competition.
Right.
You can? And see,
Oh, I'm with you.
that's more of a masculine trait. And a woman that's really feminine, which is great, and doesn't want to be the kind of masculine person out in the world, they say, let's bring the stuff that we do at home into society and just get along. Everybody gets a chance. And this is like, doesn't work. It'll never work. We're seeing it right now.
It won't work. My background's in animal behaviorism, and I have studied a lot of mammalian behavior, and it's just wild to me what humans think they can get away with. I'm like, this is not how it works.
And if I'm wrong, why are women so sick? And
oh,
see,
women
and
are so sick.
So sick today. And as a man for 25 years, I said, listen, women, do everything you want in your dreams, but please, please watch your physical and mental health. Guys, watch your wife, girlfriend, fiance, physical or mental health, because here's what happens. When they get sick, it's much more difficult for a woman to recover than it ever is a guy. And it's much more difficult for cyclic women to recover than even menopausal women, because their hormone changes happen 4 times in a month, which leaves it very difficult for them not to be able to adapt to those changes. Like when you have those cortisol levels that their conversions end up low, and trying to restore normal hormone balance when it's supposed to go up and down even makes it even more difficult.
It's true. And looking at my patient base over the years, I did not have the size of practice you have, but I had a very busy practice, and it's much harder, I think, about past 45 things really to turn the ship around. Like I was just talking to my coach again today, and I was like, man, the best thing I did before menopause hit was to build a slab of muscle on my body, and really start paying attention to my sleep cycle. And, even if you've got I think a tool like an Aura ring, people don't like these trackers on their bodies, but an Aura ring for me just at night has been really interesting and helps me understand what I'm doing to sabotage my sleep. And so getting these parameters in check and making the commitment in your late 30s, early 40s, before the wheels fall off the car, because we are such a weird society with medicine. We wait until people have type 2 diabetes, and then we decide we should intervene. And by then those people are busted. I mean, that is like such far extreme metabolic dysfunction by that point. And they're swimming in it for 15, 20 years prior. And nobody says, boo, no one does anything about it. Doctors like you do, doctors like me did, but that's the part where I'm really trying to get people to understand, like, we're not going for perfection. We're just trying to take the necessary steps as early as we can. Start building muscle, start really protecting your sleep, make good decisions about the people you choose to be around. I mean, shoot, the person you're married to is going to dictate how you end up in your 50s so much. So all of those things, I have no shame saying any of that. And as the woman who blew all the fuses out herself from being the boss babe, I can confess that was a terrible idea. It's not as, and people say, oh, well, you look great. It's like, yeah, I've been on bioidentical hormones since I was in my mid 30s because I fried out all my circuits then, so we got to pace and do the appropriate measures as we go. And it's much harder though. What are your thoughts? Women would come in their late 40s, early 50s that were just total train wrecks. And they'd say, I want to turn this around. That was always much more challenging for me as a clinician. What do you think?
Well, remember, the cyclic years are it's attainable, but like we said, obviously the older you get there, you can have some permanent damage. And when you look at women's health compared to men's health, okay, and here's what happens, ladies, and I've said this, and I don't know why this isn't, with the exception of certain permanent damage things that happen, when you look at a woman that has now transitioned into menopause, her hormones are very stable. They're very similar to a guy's. It's why the term cougar never came from a cyclic woman, okay? Because they actually have their estrogens change. They actually become a little bit more testosterone. They're more stable straight across, no different than a guy, really. Now, obviously, there's different levels, but here's the point. They don't have the fluctuations every single week. And women think, no, doc, I cycle once a month. No, your hormones change 4 times in a month. I was the first one ever 25 years ago to say, listen, women have 4 zones, because I sat there and recognized that women's estrogens, women's progesterone, goes up and down through the course of the month. And really, there's physical and mental change that happen 4 different times in a time. So therefore, here's what happens. And all the other factors that contribute to that combination of change can come and be affected by so many reasons. So therefore, guess what happened? You can't just change your foods and everything goes back normal. You can't just get adjusted and everything goes back to normal. You can't just, I'm going to reduce my mental stress, even though I think that's the biggest one, and go back to normal. That's the part where professionals like us sit there and go, hey, listen, let's start from this major idea. And if everybody can get this idea, they will show you, you'll be able to take a roadmap individually for each person. Because once again, the things that are throwing this major principle off is actually under your control.